just do it. If you're at the point where you're considering getting a degree, you understand the values of it. You understand what it is that you want to achieve as a result of getting it. And don't be afraid to go beyond your obstacles, because they're going to be there regardless. Life is always going to be. To have someone as a support system, have someone that you can talk to about school. They may not have a degree, they may not be able to understand or relate to what it is that you are doing, but to have someone that can respond to you when you have those moments where you just need to ramble and rant about something.
Welcome to the UMGC Podcast, Unstoppable Stories, with your host, Lauren Cardillo.
Today I'm joined by Brandon Blackwell, a UMGC grad. Welcome, Brandon. Thanks for being here, giving us a little time. So currently, you're a director of software development at CyTech Services, which sounds really cool. But why cyber? What drew you there?
So what drew me to cyber, I had an older brother that was in cyber, and that particular field spoke to me because of my personality. So I like knowing how things work. I like things that make a difference. And for me, cyber truly makes a difference in a different way than being kinetic or tangible in the world. So you're behind the scenes, you're on the laptop, you're doing things that seem astronomical. And that's what spoke to me and led me to that field.
When was it you realized that? What was that moment where you sort of opened your laptop and you went, ooh, this is like really cool, you know?
So that goes back to when I'm very little. So my parents had a computer in like a little study area. And so I would go in there to play computer games like Need for Speed or, things of that, putt-putt at the time or something like that. So I'm going in there, I'm having to open files, I'm clicking things, I'm seeing, the little icons you have to do when you first start up and you have to configure it to execute. And I was like, okay, this is very interesting. So going from there to then, riding bikes and playing with toy cars and other things, I'm taking them apart to see how they work and see how they operate, and then putting them back together. But okay, so this is how this works. And that lead into cyber, it's like, okay, so I'm working with the computer, and now I'm doing small things like opening applications, or I want to install something to play a game, and that requires me to modify certain files. So it's like, okay, now I want to know what that really is doing on the back end. How can I recreate that at a larger scale? A pivotal moment where I really dug into this though was after I ended up suffering that ACL tear in college. I have been playing football from the age of 5 up until now, 18. So this has been something that's consistent in my life. And so I'm majoring in I'm majoring in computer science at the time, and switching to ISM at a later period. But for me, that was plan A, was football. Now I'm like, okay, now I have to switch gears and change that to plan B, which is now going to be computer science and IT. So I'm taking the same amount of effort and energy that I was putting to going to work out, going to practices, film and study, and putting that here. So switching gears to ISM is like, okay, big brother. So what does this look like in terms of how can I, make this my primary focus, and what are some of the things I need to be successful in? He's like, okay, get certifications, you need to get some experience. You need to, make sure your grades are where they need to be in order for opportunities. And there'll be opportunities down the road if you do all things correctly. So while I'm going through physical rehab, physical therapy, I am getting certifications like Security Plus, Net Plus, Splunk, and I'm taking on positions at the school like IT help desk. I'm becoming a network administrator now, so I'm gaining those. I'm gaining those foundational pieces in order to be selected for opportunity.
So go back for a sec. So plan A, football. So tell me that day, like you were a running back, correct?
Correct.
All right. So your first game?
Very first game, first play. So I get a carry. It's a routine tackle, go get an assessment. It is really that bad. And so, before you go into surgery, because the ACL tell you that's required, I'm just blaming. I was like, maybe it really isn't going to be that bad. But you experience the worst when you hit rock bottom after that surgery. So I come out of surgery. I'm in strict pain. It is something different, something I never experienced before. And so I'm laying in the bed and I'm looking at my knee bandaged up, can't move it. And it's like, okay, are we going to go back to this? what is plan B? Because up to this point, I hadn't put much stock in plan B. It was, okay, I'm here, I'm going to school, I'm getting a major. I know I'm supposed to do this, but I'm not truly investing in it the way I should be as if it were football. And so that was a pivotal moment where it's like, no, we need to put the same amount of time in plan B that we're going to put in the plan A. So that's when started going to rehab. That's when it's, hey, big brother, what does this look like? What are some of the things I need to be doing? What should I be studying? How do I navigate this environment? Because it's completely different to what I've been doing for the past, 13 years of my life. So that was that moment.
And it's hard to give it up because you said 13 years, right? And that's what you did every single day. And then all of a sudden you're lying on a football field, on your back and you're like, crap.
Yes. Hey, that is exactly what that was very difficult to decide. To get to where I'm at today, even of course football is no longer here, but to decide to, hang the cleats up because it was, hey, who is Brandon Blackwell outside of football? Because that was my entire life up to this point. And so it was a period of figuring out who I am as well as figuring out what I'm going to do. Because, I would say most folks who go to college or on campus, they have an idea of what they want to do. They have an idea of what that's going to be. So like I have interest. I have interest in IT. I major in IT, but is IT who I am? And it was IT is who you're going to become.
So you took that passion from one place and you moved it to another place.
Precisely. And that was a weird shift because the principles there, like you have to work hard, you have to be a student, you have to study, you need to understand what it really is you're doing. It's much more than just going to class and completing assignments as it was before. Now it's okay, what are you really studying? How does it apply to where you're going to be? Where do you want to be? Because IT, whether computer science or just system administration, is very broad. So you got all these different areas. Now you need to frame that in what speaks to you. What are you going to start working towards? Because in football, as a running back, I know what my drills are going to be. I know what type of workouts I need to do. I know what my plan is because I know what I'm trying to get. Where are you trying to get in IT? And that was the question, along with figuring out who I am as a person.
But you also loved it. I mean, obviously you love what you do.
Yes, I mean, starting back from little on the computer games now, it's kind of crazy seeing my little brother on the computer now. I'm like, that was me at one point in time. So uh, my passion for what I do now is, for IT just drives me so much further. I would say where some mistake is they're driven by the financial gain. Because, if you're passionate about it and you're a student of what it is that you're doing, the money is going to come with it. You know, it's never a chore. It's never just a job at that point in time. It is, a foundational piece that you're continuously investing in.
So you're 3 years in college, and then sort of life, I don't want to say throws you another wrench, but sort of like made plan BA, B2.
Yeah. So it
So
was.
what happened then?
So plan B to go get the degree up. It really took off, and it definitely was a monkey wrench, but a positive one. So sometimes life throws you curveballs, sometimes you knock them out the park. And this was one of those times. So there was a defense contractor who had a college recruiting program. And fortunately for me, my experiences on the help desk, from working with the network team, getting certifications allowed me to be selected for that. And I got a full-time opportunity as a system administrator. So this is finishing my junior year. It's like, okay, well, I can't go to work and be on campus. So what do I do? And for me, it was an opportunity I couldn't pass up. So I said, hey, we're going to take the role, and school is going to, at this point, be second.
But it didn't turn out being that way because you figured out a way to like do both. And I think the idea of people having a full-time job and taking a full load of classes seems daunting. So how did you power through that and make it happen?
So fortunately for me, I didn't have to just pick the job. Fortunately for me, I had to do school and a job. So UMGC was the perfect opportunity for me because I had older siblings. My sister-in-law got her master's from UMGC. My brother got his bachelor's, at this time, got his bachelor's, and then went on to get his master's from UMGC. So it was, okay, we already know where we're going. We're going to UMGC to go ahead and finish the degree. So for me, I got the transfer. And I started back in the fall semester, majoring in computer networks and cybersecurity, which was a complete shock to me because, from going on campus where that is my full-time job, everything else is secondary, to now, okay, I have a full-time job. I now have to come home and still be a student. And for a minute, that was an adjustment. It is extremely daunting. But, something my mom told me a long time ago was, do not be afraid to go beyond your obstacles. So yes, you got to work. Yes, you're tired. Yes, the commute is long. Yes, all these things are still here, but they're not going to change. But what you need, and what really drove me to go ahead and finish my degree, it's multiple parts to that. So I felt personally that, especially in IT, there are qualifiers, right? So your experience, your certifications, a degree, these are all qualifiers to your potential technical capability. So for me at this point, I had prior experience, check. I had the certifications, check. So now it was get the degree. My mom is another driving factor of my education because, from when we were little, she believed that the future was going to be dictated by the level of education that you obtain. And so from day one, she's like, okay, you need to go to school. You need to bring home good grades. You're going to go to college. You're going to get a degree. These expectations were set from day one, along with if you start something, you finish that. And then my dad comes in that as well with you get out what you put in. So I'm looking at, as I'm transferring, I had these pieces of information. Okay. I know I need to qualify. I know I need to finish my qualifiers and check all the boxes. I know if I start something I can't finish, so I've already started a degree path, I have to finish. And you get out what you put in. So I know I have to work hard. Whatever I work hard and sacrifice to achieve this, I'm going to get back that in tenfold. And all those things happen.
I'm sure at the time it seemed like, okay, I have 1 year of college left and I have this full-time job, but it's just a year, right? In a certain way. But you knew how to work hard from football. So clearly, people sort of forget that athletes do sort of transfer over to the business world pretty easily, or to college, because you had that discipline. But reading through your interview, previous one, you were also doing some work. Was it with your father or your grandfather? Like at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning? Tell me about that.
So my grandfather, he has a commercial crabbing business. So we, I want to say it's kind of a family preparation, right? So every summer, instead of not having anything to do because it's the summertime, kids are out of school. If you're not doing football workouts or even before that, hey, you're going to get on the boat. It wasn't a question. It was you're getting on the boat. You're going to learn what hard work looks like at a very early, and during your development age, some age like 12 to whenever, because you need that foundation to know, one, how to survive if all else fails. You have certain skills to do that now. And two, you understand hard work and dedication and responsibility, because you're not going to leave your grandfather, hanging on the boat by himself to do all that work when you're supposed to be there. Like, we just weren't raised that way. So that's a foundational piece that carries forward. What hard work is. Your starting point. Where you will be if you don't do the things necessary to be successful. And then on top of that, I'm watching my dad as well, coming from that same stock, get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and go to work every day. Sacrifices being made, whether it's going to practice at the time or taking someone somewhere. That in our family, we understood that in order to get something had to be sacrificed to get there. So the concept of, things are given, there's always a cost. Nothing is free. And so that's where it goes. You get out what you put in. So the combination of seeing both of those men to be able to get up, go out here, work hard every day, really sticks with you, and it just further goes into the discipline aspect, because you have to get up and work hard every day. If you see that and you see sacrifice being made, you yourself are going to make those same sacrifices to achieve.
Well, they were role models for you.
Precisely.
So describe what that day was like for people who are not familiar with crabbing. What would you go out and do? What would you do?
So wake up, first thing you do, you may get a shower. Okay, so then you're putting on crabbing boots, then you're putting on coveralls. The coveralls, I forgot what type of material they are, but they're a slick material. It's heavy, it's cumbersome. You have these big boots on, they're cumbersome as well. So you're already uncomfortable starting out at 4 a.m. So you go out, you may have to put gas in both, so you're picking up You're grabbing gallons of gas. You're taking it to the boat. Crab pots may have to be put on the boat if you're dropping off. They may have to be taken off early if they've been left on overnight. You gotta prepare the boat in order to go. So by 5 o'clock, you have done a number of things on the checklist to even get out there. And now at 5, you're getting to drive out there. It is just a stick, and you're seeing corks out in the ocean that you have to reach out, grab, pick them up, pull up, and then you're picking up this crab pot that has been sitting underwater for 2-3 days. It's got all types of sea life and barnacles and nastiness on it. You open up the heavy crab pot and you're shaking it, and so your arms are getting tired, and now it may be 1 or 2 crabs in this pot, or maybe 12. And depending upon what's in that pot, depends on how your day is going to be. And it doesn't just stop there, but that's essentially what it is. And that's 400 something crab pots.
That is crazy. But, I can imagine for them, they, both you and your brother, college, first generation, right? So that meant, how much did that mean to them?
So to them, it was, my mom in particular. So again, going back to her education, extremely important to her. So she's like, you're not going to fail me. So she's amply excited. She's like, I know, you did what you needed to do. You completed the task that was given. I know your future, may not necessarily be written yet, but there's so much more potential in your future now that you've completed this, because of the belief that, hey, the future is led by your education. And so it set a precedent in the family at this point that this is what you need to do. And because my mom she went to college very briefly. My dad didn't have a college degree. And my older brother didn't, go to a traditional 4-year university. They combined those things into my journey and allow me to become the blueprint for that. So it's now, okay, you go to school, you go to college, you get good grades, and then you go off and be successful in your career, and you have opportunities to go out and achieve the things you want to achieve because you have that foundational piece. And so that is another driving factor. Is like, now, because I was successful in this, my younger siblings have seen the plan be successful. They can believe in that too. It's not, oh, Brandon didn't get a degree, or Robert didn't get a degree, so I don't have to. It's no, there's a precedent, there's an expectation that this is what you're going to do. This is how you do it. And, you can't fail, essentially.
But you could have done it over that last year, over a couple of years. But you were intent upon, I want to do it in 1 year. Why was that?
It was part of the plan. So it wasn't, no, obviously nothing wrong with it if you take extra time, but the expectation was you go finish in 4 years. You do whatever it is you need to do to finish in 4 years. And that's why it was so important to me. Is that I was not going to be the one to disappoint and drag it out when I didn't have to. So it was, yes, there's sacrifices we made here. We're going to maybe course overload. We're going to take extra time. There's going to be plenty of late nights, but you know what you need to do to set the example.
Did you feel like there was a lot of support from UMGC, understanding that people work and do school at the same time?
Absolutely. So I had a conversation with my brother. Hey, I want to finish in 4 years. This is my last 2 semesters. Is there anything I can do to make that happen? Because when I initially got to UMGC, it was going to take me an extra semester, extra 2 semesters, given the amount of courses I had to take, because I had switched my major to computer networks. And they said, well, do you have any certifications? I said, yes, I have cyber security plus, network plus, Splunk, this, and this, and this. They said, okay, so do you have any additional work experience? Yes, IT help desk, network administrator. Okay, so they said, well, we can give you credits towards your courses to help you get to that 4-year goal. I said, okay. So once the advisors went back, they worked that out. I had enough credits to where I did have to take a course overload, but I didn't have to go to school for an extra 2 semesters or extra semester. I was going to finish on time. It just required a little bit more of me that last semester to get that done. And I said, well, everything is give and take, right? So they're giving you some, they're going to take some of your time, some of your time, but you know what you need to do. You have the opportunity.
How did that make you feel when you actually achieved that?
So when they said that, I was like, okay, I know you really confirm like this is the school for me. They understand my situation. They want me to graduate. In a way, I felt they were invested in my success. So it was never a question of, oh, is the school support me? I know some people feel like that, or are the resources available? It's like they're all there if you ask. They're all there, and I feel like the school from that point forward had their arms and hands open, like, hey, whatever you need, we're here for
Well, because you could achieve your goal.
you.
You know, how did your mom react to all of that? Because obviously she was invested in you all your life, and it's changed, and then it's changed again. How'd she feel?
Yes. So she was like, yes, I'm going to get what I want. I want my son to graduate in 4 years. I'm going to get my degree. Because our degrees, she says, are her degrees. So she's like, I'm getting my degree. I am, all world happy, happy as could be.
But also the whole first generation thing. I mean, you and your brother haven't just gotten degrees, you've gone further. I mean, how does that make you feel that you're the first guys?
It's interesting when you look back and see that as the first to do something, right? So for me, I obviously look at my older brother as a guy, because 10-year difference. So I don't really look back and be like, oh, I'm first to do it because he was there and already had the prior experience. But I mean, looking back and it's like, oh, guess we are first. I was the first one to do this, first one to go into a computer science software development. So it feels like more needs to be done, or more should be street. Like we should continue to strive for more. Like if we get content here, then that tells the others, younger brother, younger sister, yeah, you can stop here. It's like, well, no, you can't stop here. Given everything we've been through, given our experiences, given our teachings, it's like, okay, so yeah, this cool. Continue on. What's next? Let's go figure that out and then go achieve next.
Because they're watching you.
Always. Always. So you have to keep that in mind in anything, at least I do, keep that in mind in anything you do, that whatever they see, they're probably going to emulate. And so if they see you being content, if they see you no longer wanting or seeking to achieve, they themselves are going to reach a point where they're not either. Um, and that's not something I want for them. That's not something our family wants. So you have to keep going after it.
How did you feel when you saw your younger brother got his first certificate?
So that was truly remarkable. Like I was, going crazy because I watched him put in the same time and effort that I myself put in. So there was this particular project, and during COVID, that's when I finished, 2020, and it was my risk assessment. So I'm staying with my parents at this time, and I moved my death certification because I needed to, I needed extra time. It took about 3 days to go ahead and knock this assignment out. Wait till last minute, but 3 days nonetheless to knock this assignment out. So I had 2 monitors up, 2 laptops, notebooks out. I am researcher studying, going, taking up everybody else's space. My dad's like, man, I can't even eat in the kitchen because you had the whole kitchen table taken up. My mom's like, oh my God, when are you going to be done? Please hurry to finish so I can get my life back. So I have disturbed the entire house and knock out this project. But in the end, I think 30, 40 pages assessment, I ended up getting, I think a 99 on it. And it was like, okay, this was proof that, you truly do what you put into it. You get out what you put in. And so my younger brother got to watch that and see too. And there was one night I remember him sitting with me and doing his own homework at the time. And so to come back and see that years later, while he's studying for Security Plus, I walk in the room, I see him, notebook everywhere, monitor up, looking at different things, researching. I see him putting the work in. And at 16, you're just getting exposed to this. It's not an easy certification. It's not an easy task at hand. So to see you at 16, take what you had seen before, the amount of work, and then go put that in yourself. And to then be able to understand those concepts at such a young age, being just exposed to it, to go past, oh my God, the sky is the limit for you because of the ground that was laid before him. So it was just confirmation that he has that drive, that capability to go out here the same way that his older brothers had, his older sister has. And he's going to be, sky's the limit.
And part of you sitting there going that's my brother.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. went on the whole campaign, make sure I promoted him.
I love it. How was the university with knowing you had the full-time job and knowing you wanted to get out in a year? How are they in accommodating those goals of yours?
Going back to those credits and going back to the experience, those two things were the initial steps. Secondly, time, right? These courses, for the most part, they're 8 weeks. And yes, it's ample ramp up time, but because it's online, it's self-paced to a degree, though you have to make those time adjustments and that commitment because you're committing to yourself. Like it's different than being on a full university or a traditional campus where you're seeing people every day going through the same things you are. Like no one sees your journey. Everybody's home life is different. So you're figuring that out for yourself. But the university accommodated that for me in being able to do it semi sort of self-paced in that expedited time. But that comes with the caveat of having to do extra study.
And it worked, yeah.
It did.
Was the thing you were talking to me about the 3 days where you're in your kitchen taking up your mother's space, was that your risk assessment?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So where was that in your journey? Was it at the end and it was like, I need to finish this and it was overwhelming or like?
Yes, that was one of the last assignments I did. That was one of my last classes. And it was like make or break. So if you don't pass the class, you don't graduate type of situation. So needless to say, there was a lot riding on this risk assessment being completed. It hits all the time, energy, and effort that I was putting to making sure it was the best it could be.
And the certificates you then got at a little earlier, how have those been useful to you in your current job?
Going back to the foundational piece, because I went on to get many more than just those couple, but they were the foundation piece. So like Security Plus was really the focal one that started the rest of the certificate journey. And it was the base for everything I learned after that. So my focus in cybersecurity, even now developing the secure capabilities for different customers. That led into, you never forget anything. So everything that was taught there, the foundational piece, even if you don't understand, it's going to come up again. But it makes it easier to understand as you see things. So, your first time seeing what a MAC address is, like, what is this? What am I going to do with this? Or the first time you're seeing the OSI model, it's like, okay, how do these align with what I'm doing and what I'm building? And as you see that more often, it's like, okay, I can go back to this because I know, I had that framework. Okay, I know what this is doing. I know where it's at in the OCS or an OSI model. I know what a MAC address is. I know what an IP address is. I understand how networking works. So now it helps me craft solutions a little bit better, right? Sometimes, we run into other developers that don't necessarily have that background, coming from administration or having those foundational certifications that help them see how the end user or the customer is looking at a problem or needs to design a problem. And so that has given me that other perspective of, okay, no, we need to design solutions with security in mind first. We need to design solutions like this, or this system isn't the best because of these concerns or possible issues, because of those foundational pieces that have led, that have been part of the journey and led me to where I'm at today.
So they're like building blocks that help you get there.
Precisely.
Were there also things that you learned in class that like the next week would be applicable to your job?
Yep. So, especially as a system admin at the time, we would have labs on a weekly basis, and we have to do lab reports on them. I would have a problem at work and be like, okay, how do I solve this? How do I fix it? Go do homework and like, oh, okay. So now I can go back to work tomorrow and go fix this problem or issue. So, and that was my entire experience while at UMGC. So it was one of the few times, I think a lot of students, they wonder, what am I learning or what am I doing? How does this actually translate to my job? So I got the opportunity to see it translate in real time within 24 hours. So that was just a different experience for me, but also reassuring that I made the right decision.
And you're wondering if they're like listening to you, right? Like a weird coincidence that should have happened, right? That's funny. How do you like working with your brother?
It's interesting. Most siblings, our family dynamic is completely different. Most siblings aren't that close, but me and my older brother have been close our entire lives. So I've always wanted to work with my brother from the time that we were both in IT. So now it was a unique opportunity. I remember one time, there was a particular role I didn't get because my brother was on that team. It was like, wow, I felt a little discouraged that it would happen. And someone's like, wow, I'm not gonna be able to work with my brother. But now that the opportunity's presenting itself, I'm loving it. I think we had a unique opportunity with SciTech to take that element. I think that's what we do very different. You're bridging family and tech and business together, but with the bond of technology. That's something that's very rare. And I attribute it to our upbringing of why we've been successful so far. And then to look at our capabilities, he's on more of the compliance and management side. I'm in software development. Then we have a younger sister that's in data analysis and she has a financial background. And a little brother that just got Security Plus at 16. And the sky's the limit for him. When you look at these capabilities just in house, it's like, how can we not try to build something that can go above and beyond? How can we not try to build something where you know, each of us get an opportunity to showcase ourselves and then provide opportunities for others on top of that.
I mean, you guys are now entrepreneurs,
Yeah.
far away from your football career.
Very far away from the football career. Definitely wasn't in the plans at that point in time. I think that just speaks to continuous development. It, our continuous want to do different and be better. Our parents always wanted us to, go out and achieve more than them in the best way possible, right? So those experiences, those teachings, and just that framework that they provided for us have allowed us to go out and be successful in ways that, a few years ago we may not have thought were possible.
How do they feel when they get you all together and, they see your success? How does, have they said to you, we're really proud of you, or how does it make them feel?
So I imagine it makes them feel all the world. It was confirmation for them that, hey, I raised my kids right. We gave them the building blocks, our teachings, and we did the right thing, right? And we're getting to reap the benefits now. We're getting to see the results of that and the sacrifices they made. It's like, okay, it was worth it. Dad brags on us all the time.
Well, that's his right. So was there anything you ever took apart when you were a little kid that you couldn't put back together again? Or your parents were like, what did he do?
I think there was a point in time where they just became accustomed to seeing things apart. My brother has I want to say a little Tonka truck that I took apart at a very age. He was like, I don't break my things. I come into my room, he's in the floor, my truck's in pieces. Why is it not back in pieces? And he still brings his truck up to this day, like, you broke my truck. You never put it back together. It's like, no, I was investigating. I want to see how it worked. So they'll never get put back together.
And he's going to hold it against you forever, right?
Forever.
How was your success, and you sort of alluded to this, how has your success motivated you to give back, to help other people and sort of, all boats rise, in the water? How has it motivated you?
In a few ways. Going back to starting with the certifications and coming off the help desk, older brother being in the same career field, a little more experience, giving me guidance on what are some of the things I need to do in order to be successful. I'm going to help this with friends I'm still with now and tell them, hey, I'm hearing this from someone who has already been successful in the field. This is what we need to do. Go get the certifications, go do study. These are some of the things we need to do. These are experiences that we need to be trying to figure out how to gather. And not just keeping it in circle, but going out to others then. So seeing changes in the field, okay, learn a coding language if you want to be on the technical side of things. Join Alpha Phi Alpha, becoming the advisor for our undergraduate chapter, and wanting to provide those guys the same steps ahead, the same information early. Because the earlier you get the information, the more you can make of it. Your trajectory only heightens the earlier you can start taking advantage of, the earlier you can take advantage of some of those opportunities, so like those certifications, like studying, like the those paths, all the way down to my younger siblings, going back to my little brother Devin. For him to achieve that really speaks to how we as a family operate, and myself as well. It's just wanting the younger generation to have all the opportunities and capabilities and abilities to be successful. There's no reason to gatekeep. So why not provide the information to whoever may need it?
When you see those kids, I know, get scholarships, or you mentor them, or you just help them out, when you see their faces, how does that make you feel?
For me, it's like, it makes me feel like I did my part in that, right? Like, not taking credit for success or anything, but doing my part in giving someone a leg up, doing my part in giving them the information, or helping them get an opportunity for them to then take that as a springboard and go off to do wonderful and great things.
So, where do in a perfect world, where are you in 5, 10 years?
Where am I in 5 to 10 years? I want to say at home, but in a capacity to where I'm able to be home because the business has grown to a point to where my talents, capabilities, and I'm required to be there to ensure the business continues. Um, right now, I'm still on site working with customers, but at that point, I would have say I have been able to bring in enough people, be able to afford to be self-sustained to where I can shift focus, and it is more business focused, less customer facing, I would say. That's where I'll be in 5 to 10 years. Some of the other technical things I would like to, on the technical side, what I want to achieve, definitely developing offensive tools.
What advice would you give to someone who's starting their own educational journey? And I'm going to say probably a non-traditional educational journey, but what advice would you give to those people?
Just do it. You have, if you're at the point where you're considering getting a degree, you understand the values of it. You understand what it is that you want to achieve as a result of getting it, and don't be afraid to go beyond your obstacles, because they're going to be there regardless. Life is always going to be there. You know, that is my advice, as well as have someone as a support system. Have someone that you can talk to about school. Um, they may not have a degree, they may not be able to understand or relate to what it is that you are doing, but to have someone that can respond to you when you have those moments where you just need to ramble and rant about something. I can't count how many times I've been talking to one of my siblings, or my mom, or my dad, or a friend even, about a technical issue or problem or homework or something I just wanted to complain about at that point in time, and got that light bulb go off, like, oh, okay, this is what I need to do in order to complete this assignment. This is what I need to do in order to go write that code and figure it out. Or they keep you grounded. Okay, I know why I need to go ahead and put in these late hours. Um, there's going to be moments where you don't want to do homework. You don't want to do discussion questions. You don't even want to look at your laptop. You don't want to go in your office. There's going to be times where everything else in life may feel like it's more important, and school is a necessity. But it's in those moments where you have to dig deep, buckle down, and really and tap into what it is that you're doing this for, because you started it. You there's something that you want. There's something that you want to achieve, and there's something that you believe this degree is going to get you. Tap into that and make sure in those moments that you don't want to be there, that you do everything you need to do to turn those assignments on time.
Brandon, thanks so much for sharing your story. I really appreciate it. I love hearing about the trucks and all that stuff when you were little. So we loved sharing your story with our listeners and viewers. And for everyone listening and watching, please remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more unstoppable stories just like this. See you next time.